right, well, greetings, everybody. Welcome once again to the Rec Poker Podcast. Our official sponsor, as always, is Running Aces Racetrack, Casino, and Hotel. And our other sponsors, Learn Pro Poker, Website Amp, and the Small Business Community. In this Chats edition of the podcast, we're going to hang out with Farid Jattin. Now, some of you know him, some of you might not know him, but you should know him. He is number one on Colombia's all-time money list, and it's not even close. He is currently number 8 in the GPI rankings. He's got more than 5.6 million in reported tournament payouts on Hendon Mob. But before we get to Farid, let's introduce the panel. My name is Steve Fredland. I go by Rec Poker Steve in our PokerStars home games. And Tom McAvoy said that no limit hold'em is hours of boredom followed by moments of sheer terror.
And I'm Chris Jones. I'm 5x5 on PokerStars and Twitter. And my controversial poker movie opinion is that Luna's Game is the best poker movie, not Rounders.
My name's Jim Reed, Bluffsterini in the home game, and Hold'em_Steelers on Twitter. And I'm just here to tell you that I love HUDs, but the most important stat is your stack size.
And I'm John Somsky, Poker Geek MN on PokerStars and everywhere else, all social media. And I have a quote from Doyle Brunson. Everyone gets lucky once in a while, but no one is consistently lucky.
Nice. All right. And you guys know we end the podcast with kind of some details of what's going on with Rec Poker, but just a real couple real quick things I want you to know. One is, if you don't know already, make sure you know. If you don't have your PokerStars username in your free Rec Poker account by the end of the year, you're going to be suspended from the club. So go to rec.poker/home game. We'll talk more about that later. And also save the date. January 27th is our first ever annual awards show. So we're super excited about that. Save the date, January 27th. Going to be a whole lot of fun. So as we bring in Farid, I'm going to start this conversation with a question. And that is this: what do the following players have in common? Bill Perkins, Michael Pahuja, Brandon Adams, Kristen McNell, Marcel Lusk, Max Silver, Jared Jaffe, Max Steinberg, and Blair Hinkle. The answer is they have less tournament winnings than our guest today. So with that, let's bring him in. Farid Jattin, how are we doing today?
Everything good, man. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man, super excited that we got connected. One of the great players, and we like to talk to great players. Now, you are, if I have this right, you are in Miami right now?
No, I'm actually in Colombia.
Oh, you're in Colombia. Now, do you live in Miami, though?
I live between Miami, Colombia, and Panama. I have a place in all three places, and just travel around. Those are like my 3 bases, you know.
Okay, so how is that working now with COVID and everything? Are you still able to travel as you want, or is that restricted quite a bit?
Yeah, I'm kind of like relaxed with the whole COVID thing. So as long as I could travel, I'm usually not paying too much attention to what's going on, all the noise. I don't watch too much news, and I don't really go out too much. So like for me, yeah, it's been kind of normal for me. I mean, I stay at home a lot, and I do like going to restaurants and stuff like that. But you can still do that, you know. So I'm cool.
All right, cool. So let's start with your origin story. So how did you start playing poker? Did you grow up playing cards, or that's something you took on a little bit later in life?
No, actually, in my family, nobody really plays cards. My grandfather from my father's side was the only one in the whole family that played poker, but he passed away when I was like 12 years old. And yeah, I kind of miss him for that reason, because he would have really enjoyed these times with me, you know. But yeah, besides that, no one really played poker. I mean, both of my parents are doctors. Yeah, I have a lot of doctors and businessmen in the family, and then I kind of like stepped out of the zone a little bit, you know. I'm kind of like the different one. I took poker and
was your grandfather able to teach you cards at all, or during that time, or were you still too young for that?
Well, actually, he wanted to teach me when I was like 8 years old, and my mom didn't let him, you know. So She's like, no, you can't teach him that. So I was like, okay, no problem. But he was like a machine with the mathematics. My grandfather was like a human calculator, and I think I got that from him. So yeah, I was able to apply his life skills into poker and stuff like that. I actually lived with my grandparents for a little bit when I moved to the States before my parents came. So I got into poker in high school. You know, I used to play baseball in high school, and when I was a junior, I was a catcher, and we won state championship that year. And the star pitcher, he failed the grade a couple of times, so he used to go to the casino and stuff. He was like 19. He used to go to the casino, and then we started playing home games at his house, and I kind of started liking the whole competition aspect of it. And I started kind of winning consistently, where it was either him or me that would win all the home games. So then we took it a little step farther, and we would go to the casino on the weekends sometimes. You know, I had a fake ID, and that's kind of like how I got into it. You know, I was nothing too serious, but I was playing for fun, you know, and I was enjoying it. And I was kind of like paying for my own bills, you know. I remember I won a tournament when I was like 16 or 17 for about $2,000, and that's how I bought my first car, which was it was a Geo Prism. It was all beat up and crashed, but you know, I'll never forget that, and that's kind of like how I started.
Do you have like a picture of the car? It'd be sweet to like still have a picture of that car like up on your wall or something.
No, I don't have a pic. I have a mental picture of it. It was white. It was kind of ugly car, you know. It didn't have rims. Yeah, it was pretty ghetto, you know. But it's okay. I liked it. It worked, you know. It did its job.
So you mentioned your parents weren't really into poker, and they're kind of reluctant to have your grandfather teach you the game. Did you experience resistance as you started getting into poker? Like, was it just sort of apathy, or was there actual like people telling you that you shouldn't do this? This is a bad thing to do.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot of resistance because, like I said, my parents are both doctors, and they're kind of like straightforward type of people, you know. And yeah, they obviously didn't really like that path for me because they felt like I had a lot of potential in other areas of life. You know, I was always a very good student, and yeah, I had a bright future in probably whatever I chose to do, you know. So obviously, I mean, I understand them. They don't know anything about poker, and in general, it's not really the kind of career that you want your kid to take, right? Like, I definitely understand. I wouldn't really want my kids to be poker players either. So, and I know the game, so I could imagine from their point of view, it must have been like, yeah, kind of frustrating, you know. But now, obviously, they're very proud of who I am and what I've accomplished, and they definitely know a lot more. So they're definitely cool with it now. But at the beginning, I definitely faced a lot of resistance.
Yeah, have they had a chance to actually watch you play live at a final table or anything?
Yeah, the first time my mom watched me play live was in Australia, not this year, but the year before. And I actually got second in the 25K PLO, so that was like pretty amazing. She watched me win a lot of money, and just like she was very nervous the whole time, you know. But it was like it was an amazing experience for her because she realized that poker wasn't really what she thought it was. You know, she saw a bunch of really focused people, a bunch of bright people, and like it was a good experience because it opened her eyes to what the poker world, especially at the highest level, right? It really looks like, you know. And I actually ended up going on that trip with my good friend Brian Kenny, and he won the main event himself. So yeah, for my mom, it must have been like an amazing experience. You know, it was one of the best trips in my life.
Yeah, I think people that don't know what poker is, that they sort of have this idea, right? There's this stigma, whether it's from movies or whatever, and they just think it's sort of this back alley and a bunch of, you know, degenerate people. And then they see that and they're like, wow, this is actually kind of different.
Which it kind of makes sense, you know, because back in the day, it kind of was like that. You know? It was kind of like a dark side of the gambling world, right? Where it was a lot of hustlers and stuff like that. But, you know, as the years go by, I think that some of the sharpest minds in the world are poker players. You know, I think that I've been able to meet a lot of very sharp and very, very cool people, you know, for sure. I think it's definitely not what it used to be or what people kind of think that it is, but it does have a bit of a dark side to it if you get involved in the wrong circle or if you kind of go the wrong way, right? Like it's a very, you got to be careful in these waters.
Yeah. So I'm curious now. You played. I saw you had was it 7 or 8 cashes this summer, or I guess this July and August during the online World Series of Poker. Kind of curious what your experience was playing that. Did you have? I know there's kind of across the board different perspectives on how that went. I'm curious your perspective.
I thought the tournaments were pretty well run. You know, I think they were pretty amazing, but I think that in general, I think it's a bit too aggressive. I think that the reentries are, way too long. And like, I think that to be honest, I think it's been more negative than positive for most poker players. I think that it's been, these online sites are kind of like, they're going too aggressive. I think that if you're not disciplined in these times, I think it could probably, it could go south very quick. But as far as the experience, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think that it's also at the same time, it's very nice that we still got to, play for big prize pools and that poker's still going on. I think it's amazing. But like I said, I think these are times where we got to be careful. We got to be careful with our bankrolls, and we got to be careful with really game selecting and just kind of playing when we're really in the mood and when we're in a good state of mind, because I think it's way too much action going on, and I think this could be very dangerous,
Partly, it sounds like you got your start playing live.
Jim, we got a mic problem again. I think we got a little mic problem. Darn it. Let's do it. Jim has all these insightful things, but we're figuring out he's got something going on with his computer driver there. But throw some in the chat if you want, Jim. But Farid, I kind of want to chat a little bit about this January. Now, you had, I'd say, not a bad January in Australia, I would say. I mean, I see the big smile on your face. If you're listening to the podcast, you can't see him smiling ear to ear now. So I looked at Hendon Mob, because I heard you had this great January. So I thought, well, let's see, what does a really good January look like? Well, I see in a 17-day span, I see 4 final tables in Australia. All of them were 25,000 Australian dollar buy-ins, and 2 of them were wins. And I saw a couple of them were PLO, a couple of them were Hold'em. But we got a first place there for what converted to $680,000 US, and another one converted to $196,000. So about $980,000 of payouts US in January. So how was your January?
Yeah, it was an amazing January, obviously. I mean, there's no other way to put it. But yeah, I think I saw it coming. I think that I started the year very, very hungry for success. And besides that, I was in this point of my life where I was happy. I was very focused, but I was also like, I always say that, like, I was max level of focus, but I was also max level of happiness. And I think that these are things that some people don't really give it enough weight in the poker world. I think that being happy off the tables really affects your gameplay and your results. So I went to Australia. I ended up having to go by myself because my girlfriend couldn't get the visa on time. But what I did was I flew out my grandmother and my girlfriend. So it was me, my grandmother, and my girlfriend the whole time. And honestly, the vibes were so good, I couldn't really lose, man.
I love that. So yeah, I want to dig into that a little bit more. So you're obviously saying you feel like there is this connection between sort of, your satisfaction off the felt and then on the felt. And then, but you're also saying you were extremely focused. So I'm kind of curious, when you talk about focus for you, somebody at your level, what does that even look like? When, if you compare that to times where you would say you weren't as focused versus times you were focused, what's actually going on in your world then?
Yeah, I was trying to have like a good balance, where like if I was spending time, for example, on that trip, if I was spending time with my grandmother and my girlfriend, it was just me spending time with them, thinking zero about poker and just kind of like enjoying the vibe, enjoying the times. But when I was on the table, it was just me and the table, like I was zero paying attention to my phone, just very, very focused, like I knew what I had to do and I was there to work, I wasn't there to mess around. I wasn't there to have a good time. I was just there to do what I had to do, So I felt like that gives you a big edge, to be honest. I think that a lot of people are very good at poker, but they sit down, they're very distracted, sometimes they're even playing on their phone or going through Instagram the whole time and stuff like that. And I think that when you're fully zoned in and focused, by nature, it has to give you an edge over your competition,
Has that been an issue for you before, the lack of focus, or has that never really been a problem?
Yeah, I think more like online, I have a tough time kind of like focusing the whole time because I get distracted very easily. Like online is not really my strength. But when it comes to live poker, especially these last couple of years, Yeah, I think I'm one of the more focused players for sure.
So are you one of these guys? Are you playing like 12 tables online when you're playing online, or?
No, I'm usually playing 4 max because I don't really. Number one, I don't use a HUD, and number two, I really pay attention to table dynamics and like maybe there's recreational at the table or maybe people are doing something a bit different. I want to pay attention to every detail. And I think that when you're playing 12 tables, you can't really, there's no way you can play your A game in all 12 of them. I mean, I know people are very focused on putting the max amount of volume, but I'm more focused on my quality of play, rather than volume. So that's where I focus.
And I know, Chris, you have a question real quick. Jim just wanted to know why don't you use a HUD? What is it about that keeps you away?
I never really used it, and I think a lot of the sites now are actually banning HUDs, but it was never really my thing, and I think it was kind of like I started using it one time, and it was kind of misleading. I think all these stats, like I do way better just going with the flow of the table, and paying attention to the table dynamics. And like I said, I think HUDs are way more useful when you're playing 20 tables, for example, but if you're playing 3 or 4, I think that you'll be all right with no HUD, especially if you have a very good understanding of the game, But I think, I think in general it's much better to use one. I'm talking about me personally. I don't really find the benefits rather than the negatives,
I want to ask you about the idea of table dynamics. You're one of my favorite players to watch on stream, just because when I see you sit down at a table, I feel like the entire dynamic of the table changes. It kind of like starts to center around like the stuff that you're doing, and I'm wondering if you can talk about your approach to when you sit down at a table. What are those first few things that you're noticing and trying to sort of like take advantage of or suss out in terms of what your opponents are trying to do? Like what do you look for when you first sit down at a table?
Well, when I first sit down, I mean, the most important thing is like, especially if everybody's sitting, I think it's your position on the table, like based on my position and who I got to my left usually, is going to determine the way I kind of play, And yeah, definitely try to always, take control of the table, kind of have that presence where like, I'm going to go the hardest every time. And like, it's cost me a lot of money before, but it's also made me a lot of money. So I'm just going the hardest at all times. And I think that's kind of tough. I think that people don't really like to battle with people that are going the hardest every single hand, So I think when you get to the highest levels, I think that it gets a lot tougher to go so hard. But I think when you're playing, the mid stakes and those 5Ks, main events and stuff like that, that's why I've had so much success, because of my style and the zero fear of busting. I think that it's a big thing in my game, that I have zero fear of busting or zero fear of bluffing it off and looking like an idiot. And I think that it's very out of the comfort zone of a lot of people.
I was going to ask you about that. Sort of, you're known for the aggression side of it. Is that sort of a natural thing when you started playing poker? Kind of your personality is just generally more, I'm going to drive the action, I'm going to be aggressive, or was that a strategic decision to sort of add aggression and to be more, what I'm saying? I'm curious if it's more like something that was just in you, or if it's something that you actually were intentional about adding.
Yeah, I think it's something weird that's just like, it's just like in me, man. Like I have a problem at the table. I can't stop being so aggressive. It's kind of crazy, but no. But all jokes aside, yeah, it's just like my nature. I just like to go hard at whatever I do in life. I just I've always been like a big risk taker, and I've always, as far as poker, especially in tournaments, I just go for the win. So when you go for the win, you're just going to be very aggressive by nature. I think that's what it takes to really, really win tournaments.
So I'm curious what your advice would be to the recreational player. I think for a lot of recreational players, that's an area that we can struggle in, is being aggressive enough. And maybe we're not going to try to be Farid, but we're trying to add some aggression to our game, and we struggle doing that. Whether that is, like you said, fear of looking dumb, fear of going bust. We just want to play longer because it's a hobby. But I think a lot of folks sort of struggle in that. And then I know recreational players they're going to turn it up, right? They're going to become really aggressive. And it doesn't feel like they're being aggressive in the right spots. Like they just start 3-betting people who are opening under the gun, right? It's just not the right time to really tune up the aggression. And I'm curious, like what wisdom would you have for people that are saying, I want to turn up the aggression. I think I need to be more aggressive. I'm barely cashing. If I cash, I'm min cashing. It's just, I'm not putting myself in position for the win, but I don't really know how to turn up the aggression. Where would you start adding aggression?
I think that, I think a lot of people have the right idea about being aggressive, but they just don't know how to really execute it, or they don't really know how to recognize the spots that kind of like let you be aggressive and kind of like get out of line from the aggressive side, right? Like, because you also got to know when to give up, like it's not like I'm just being aggressive every time for no reason. I mean, I'm attacking the right opponents, I'm attacking the right ranges, and if you're not able to break down the situation correctly, it's way better to be passive, because if you're just being aggressive to be aggressive, you're just kind of clicking buttons and it's not that likely that things go your way. If it doesn't really make sense to you from a theoretical perspective, I would say to avoid the play or the situation in general. So learning how to recognize where to be aggressive is going to be the key to your success when it comes to making those big bluffs and stuff like that. Another thing is that a lot of people are willing to bluff, but they're not willing to commit to the bluff the right way. Nowadays, everybody's capable of making like a big hero call, right? So if you gotta bluff the river, sometimes you gotta go as big as 2 and 3x the pot, which is very very uncomfortable for a lot of us, right? So if you're not willing to really commit to the bluff, then it's better just to give up, because doing things halfway, like a lot of people are willing to bluff the flop and the turn, but they never pull the third barrel, like when they know the person's weak and stuff like that. So I think that in between game is really like where I see most of the recreationals having the biggest trouble with, where they have the right idea, they have the right thoughts, but they're not comfortable enough with the execution, or they don't really recognize what the play demands from you, So I think that kind of learning how to think, and kind of learning how to recognize these situations that require the aggression factor, and kind of learning how to recognize the situations that require you to give up and to be passive will give you a lot of clarity when it comes to these stuff. And it's also like, you got to recognize what type of person you are. If you're not aggressive by nature, then you shouldn't start trying to like bluff every hand, because it's just not going to work. So I think that 2020 people stop like personalizing poker. I think poker is very robotic. I think that everybody just wants to do what the solver tells you to do or what the charts tell you to do, but you don't really realize that you're not a robot, you're human, and that you have weaknesses and strengths. So you should focus on your strengths, avoid your weaknesses while you work at getting better at them. So that's kind of like what I do with my coaching. I teach my students how to think, not really how to play, because if I teach you how to play a spot, then that's easy. You're going to know what to do when you're in the same spot, but you're not going to know how to think when you're in a similar spot, So I think that's the key to like, that's what separates the great from the middle.
So I love that. I love that. And maybe that's something I need to do, is I need to learn how to think. Maybe that's my shortcoming in all of life is I need to learn how to think. But but I think so for you personally, how did you get to that point where you feel confident in those spots? Is it just you have this innate gift and you kind of get it, you got the math and the personal, you're able to read people, was there a lot of studying involved? Was it just reps? And sort of, thinking through everything kind of after the tournaments, or like, how did you get there and how do you currently work on your game?
Well, I got to say that I have a very, very good sixth sense. I'm very aware of the situation in general. When I'm on my A game, I'm very, very good at breaking down the ranges and attacking the right ranges and really recognizing, the spots. Obviously, I'm not right every time. No one is, But yeah, I think that the more time that passes, the wiser I get in these recognition spots. And it's also like I've played a lot of tough competition. When I play the very highest level of competition, I really focus on kind of like paying attention and seeing what everybody's doing. And that's my way of studying, is kind of like seeing how everybody's reacting in every single spot and kind of trying to find a right answer for why they're doing what they're doing. And then I apply it to my own knowledge. And that's kind of how I study. And then I have a couple of friends, 3 or 4 good friends that are, would say they're poker elite. And I talk hands with them and stuff like that. We break down tough spots. And I feel like that's the most productive way of studying, for me.
So tell me a little bit about your coaching now, because, okay, so we've got, obviously a very successful career. You kind of have this approach where it's not maybe super solver based. I'm guessing you have, that is sort of a baseline or whatever, but it's, you're teaching people to think. And so how does that translate to a student? So a student comes to you and says, teach me poker, or, I'm assuming they're not entry level, but, they want what you have, or they want some sort of additional guidance. What's your approach with them? Like if somebody listening right now says, all right, I've got the money and I want to go to Farid, but what can they expect when they come to you? Or how do you actually approach this idea of teaching somebody that is something that is so innate inside of you? It seems like it's hard to actually put that into something teachable.
Yeah, so my coaching, I'm doing mostly tournament coaching. I'm doing one-on-one, but I'm also doing a group course. It's 20 hours. It's 10 classes, so 2 hours per class, right? It's 20 hours, and we touch about every subject that's pretty much necessary to win tournaments, starting from the pre-flop all the way to the flop, turn, and river. We talk about the bubble, we talk about final table play. I also have 2 pretty interesting classes, which one of them is winning poker mentality, which I really, really like, some of the keys to having like an amazing winner mentality. And the other one's like a special guest, where, like, for example, last month I had Martin Jacobson as my special guest. We kind of talk about routines. We talk about, kind of like the keys to success. And I think it's a pretty complete course. I think that last month I had 40 students and all very happy, to be honest, and a lot of success from them. I had one guy who was very advanced. I called him after my first class. I said, listen, man, I mean, this course is pretty advanced, but I don't know if it's advanced enough for you. I know you do a lot of solver work and this and that. And whatever, if you want to get out, I want to be able to provide the right amount of value for all my students. So if you don't feel like it's the right amount of value, then you could just get out and I'll give you your money back. It doesn't matter to me. And because I'm not really doing it so much money than to help the community, So especially I'm doing it both in Spanish and English. So this was one of my Spanish students. And he said, no, man, like I know I'll learn a lot in this class. And no matter what, I just like hanging out because the group is cool and stuff like that. And he's had like crazy success, in the past month. He's up about 150,000. He pretty much wins a tournament every other day. So it's been kind of crazy, So, and yeah, a lot of people not everybody has won tournaments, but a lot of them have. And everybody feels like they've got it much better. And the most important thing is the vibe in the class is very, very friendly, very like productive, group of students that all want to help, all want to learn. And me and my assistant are all willing to help, So yeah, I think it's been a success for sure.
I love that. I mean, I love the model of group coaching because I think then you build those relationships. People get to know each other a bit inside of that. It's something that we promote here is, man, get your community of people and learn the game together. You mentioned that you've got those 2 or 3 folks that you're constantly, talking hands and that sort of thing. So just maybe at a high level, just kind of talk about how that's worked for you. Like how you think you're a better player as a result of sort of learning in community versus just saying, you know what, I'm out of here. I'm just going to go work on studying on my own. How does that actually help you? And maybe an encouragement to the people that are currently just out there, just learning on their own and haven't yet, stepped off the deep end to engage with other people.
No, yeah, I think your circle of friends in poker is very, very important. I think that the energy and the knowledge of your circle and kind of like, looking for people in your same kind of like zone, kind of like the same hunger, you want to be around positive people for sure. I think there's a lot of hating going on in the poker world. There's a lot of groups where, they see their friend win, and you could tell it kind of bothers them, and it's kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
I think that really gets in the way of your success. I think it's so much better to be alone than to be in the wrong circle. Like I said, I mean, poker could be a dark world if you get into the wrong circle, So I think that for sure that has been one of the keys to my success is, number one, I have a very small circle, and number two is a very solid one. It's very successful people, but more importantly, it's very solid people. It's not people with bad habits. I always try to have just people with good energy, people with good vibes, good energy, and people that want the best for you. I think that you always need to have people in your circle that could give you good advice or could listen to you when you're going through a rough time, because as poker players, we all go through ups and downs, and I think it's very important when you're going through those downs to have someone to talk to, someone to let go with. So, yeah, I think it's been definitely key to the success for sure.
I love that. Little shameless plug. I did a TED talk called, getting the right peeps in your Jeep. And that's what it sounds like with you, is surrounding yourself with the right people. Like if you want to play poker in a certain way in the context of community, have a positive vibe around you, be rooting for each other, you can control that, right? Get the right people with you, get the right people around you. I think people don't realize that they have more control over who's around them and who's in their community than they realize. And so I think I would take that as encouragement. Who's ever listening, surround yourself with the right people that are going to encourage you to live the kind of life that you want, to play the kind of game you want, to enjoy it. And I tell you, Farid, I totally agree with that idea. Like when my buddies, like this panel and the extended rec poker community, when they win a tournament or when they're running deep, like I'm so excited for them. And I think, I was on a final table with Chris Jones and I was short stack, but I'm just like rooting for Chris in my heart. I'm like, come on, Chris. It's so much fun, right? It just brings so much more richness to your life. So I really do love that perspective that you're bringing here.
And I also think it's the key to success. I think that when you want everybody to win, you're going to win by nature. And when you're not really jealous or when you're not really sad or mad that somebody else is winning, when you're happy for other people's success, even when you're not doing too good, I mean, I think that, a way better vibe and it gives you a way better chance. I think that too many people focus on like, how is this guy running so good and I'm 10 times better than him, but I can't get a break. It's like, just focus on you, and be happy for the guy. Who gives a fuck,
Right. Yeah, it's that negative energy, right? You're talking about mindset. You talked about kind of winning poker mentality, and I think that's part of it. If we sort of have that defeatist attitude, why not me, or why me, or all these things, I think that does drag down. I know we're about at time, but I did have another question I want to ask you, and I'm sure you guys probably do too. But I'm curious. You're playing around the world, and you have played, and then you play these tournaments that are drawing people from all over the world too. I'm really curious, as a Minnesota USA guy, what are the key differences you see? Colombia, Australia, the US, different parts of those countries, different nationalities you work with. Are there any themes of types of play that you see in different areas that could actually be utilized as you're coming to a table, maybe for the first time, where you're playing against international people?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of differences, depending on the area. I think that, for example, Europeans, not only are they different at the table, but off the table. I think they're very good with their habits. I think that they pay a lot more attention to their habits and what they do off the table, and it shows in the results. I think that Americans and maybe Latin Americans too, they're a bit more on the lazy side. They care a bit less, they don't really pay attention to their well-being or their dieting and stuff like that. And I think it also shows in the results, So I think that, I think it's very interesting with poker how you see different cultures play the same game but approach it way differently, And I think if you could get the best of all the worlds, I think that you could really create a little monster in there.
I love it. So I mean, okay, so what if you sit down with a table with a Canadian? Like, what would you even do in that situation? Just run?
Like,
Run
Just
screaming?
run.
I run, man. I gotta run.
Yeah, we have a fairly good Canadian presence represented here. So.
I love Canada, to be honest. I really love Canada. I think I could actually live there easily. I have a lot of friends in Toronto, and I go there all the time, to visit my friends. And I've actually brought a lot of them to, when I say a lot of them, it's like 3 or 4, to Colombia, and they love this. So anyone that's Canadian and wants to check out Colombia, I definitely advise you to. I think that, they all had an amazing time. And actually, with all of them, I ended up extending the trip every time. So that's probably a good sign. I mean, I like to think that I'm a good host also. So that probably weighed into the decision making of extending the trip.
Well, I would love to visit Colombia sometime. I'm not a Canadian, but I'd still love to join you.
You guys are all welcome, man. You guys could all stay at my house whenever
let's
you want.
go, man. Let's go. That'd be so much
Let's
fun.
do this. Let's
That
do
would be
this.
so much fun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it would actually be amazing. I mean, money back guaranteed.
All right, we'll do we might have to rent out a hotel. We can do a rec poker road trip down to
Oh,
Colombia.
that'd be amazing, man.
That'd be fun.
I'll be happy to host that.
All right. Well, hey, any questions from Chris, John, Jim, anybody, Doug, Kim, Martha in the chat? Anything else you guys want to pick Farid's brain about? And while they're thinking about that, Farid, just kind of give you an opportunity to is there anything else going on in your world that you want to make sure that we are aware of, or how can we connect with you? So you got the group coaching, but if people are saying I'm interested in that, or just connecting with you, are you active on social media, website? What's the best way for folks to plug in with you?
Yeah, I think that if you're interested in the coaching, you could definitely send me an email at fjattin@gmail.com or go on faridjattinpoker.com and just send an application on there. As far as social media, you could also reach me at Farid_Jattin on Instagram. I don't really have a Facebook, and I don't really remember my Twitter because I haven't used it in so long. But yeah, mostly active on Instagram nowadays, and on the email. That's how I started the coaching. I mean, I was having a lot of demand in the past, but I was so focused on the grind, and now that everything shifted to online, I wasn't really enjoying it as much. The online poker grind is not really for me. I like more of a balanced lifestyle, and online could be kind of consuming way too much. And I wanted to do something where I could kind of give back to the community and help. So I put a little organic story on my Instagram. Like, anyone interested in coaching, I was going to take 10 students in Spanish and 10 in English. And actually, the first week I had about 280 applications. So I was like, what's going on here? But yeah, it's been very positive. It's been very. I've really enjoyed the run, the vibe. It's been cool for sure.
Chris?
I just have one question to sort of wrap things up. So let's hope that there's really exciting vaccine news coming, and maybe the world's going to get back to normal and live poker is going to return. What are you looking forward to the most? What's your favorite place to play, or favorite tournament to play, or favorite destination? What are you looking forward to the most when kind of everything gets back to maybe some semblance of normal?
Yeah, honestly, I kind of miss playing live for sure. I definitely look forward to getting back there. I might actually go to Vegas next week, just for fun. I think they have a little 1600 and the Venetian, and it seems like a pretty cool spot to play live. I haven't played it so long, and but for sure, my favorite place to play has to be Australia. I think that. It's an amazing country. People are amazing, and the tournaments are great. Poker's great. But besides that, whenever you bust, you're just happy because you're going to eat amazing food. You're going to hang out with cool people. So, yeah, I think Australia, very, very recommended to anyone that hasn't gone. I think that must check it out for sure.
I love it. Well, no, I don't see any other questions out there. But Farid, man, this has been a pleasure just to meet you, to have you on the show. I mean, I don't know how we went almost 220 episodes and haven't had you on, but here we are. You're here now, and man, just love your insight. I appreciate you jumping on here.
No, yeah, it's been a good time, man. You guys have really good vibe going, and Yeah, this went by really fast. I mean, I kind of don't want to leave.
Well, you're welcome to stick around.
Yeah, stick around.
I got nothing better to do, man.
All right. Well, we're just gonna transition into some of the housekeeping stuff we do. We talk about who won our home games. We do this home game every night, just free on PokerStars. We just have a blast doing it. So we just kind of talk about what's going on in Rec Poker Nation. So you're welcome to stick around if you want and chime in there. Otherwise, feel free to jump off. But we'll definitely get you on again. And for sure, if you have anything else coming up that you're like, oh man, I'm excited about this thing, have your folks reach out to us, and we'll make sure that we let people know about it, because I'm sure they're gonna connect with you in a pretty big way here after.
Yeah, I think that most likely, I think in January, I'm gonna do a group coaching, a special one with Martin Jacobson. So yeah, anyone that's interested can send an application, to my email. I'm going to start advertising soon. I'll let you know. Maybe you guys all want to take it. I think it'll be a pleasure to host you guys. And yeah, I think Martin is a super cool guy. He's obviously very good at the game. And yeah, I think that it'll be an amazing experience for everybody, So whoever's interested in having a special group course with me and Martin, that'll be a nice treat, and it'll be a pleasure for us to host it.
Well, I think we should talk about that offline a little bit. I think because we could probably get a group together to go through the group, to go through the coaching together. So go ahead, Jim. I
think that's what I did last month. I was actually talking to my friend, just casual talk. I said, listen, I started coaching this and that. He said, send me a video. So I sent him a video of one of my classes. He said, man, I really love it. Let me make a group. So he created his own group with 20 people, and I gave him a special course for him and his people, and yeah, it was very very successful. They're all very happy, and the cool thing about it is that they all know each other. They're all friends.
Yeah.
And we created a chat with everybody, so they're always sending hands. I'm commenting here and there. So yeah, I think it's I could definitely do that for you guys. We could definitely talk about it.
We do these when we're playing in these home games every night. On Tuesday night, all the premium members get together in the Zoom, and we have a chat and hang out. You should come join us for one of those Tuesday nights, and the members could get some little feedback and get some info about what that course is going to be. That would be a lot of fun for you. That'd be great.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, I'll be happy to do that, and I'll tell Martin to join too.
Oh, sweet. What a treat.
I think that'll be really cool.
Maybe we just want.
Like I said, I really enjoy you guys' vibe over here. I think that. I don't know if it's like that in every podcast, but I got to say it's not, So I think you guys are doing an amazing job, and really, really happy to be here.
Thanks, Farid.
I'm probably going to go off to my dinner now. I haven't eaten for a while. So, but yeah, like I said, man, nothing but a good time here. And looking forward to being back on. And we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, we'll
Send me your contact info, and we'll be in touch for sure about the group course and all that.
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, so if you guys are out there listening, you're like, man, that sounds amazing. Email me, steve@rec.poker. Let's see if we can get a group together, and then we'll reach out to Farid and say, all right, we got a group of people. When can we do this thing? Man, that'd be super fun. And like we said before, it's all about building community. So when we refer to ourselves as a vibrant and encouraging poker learning community. We're vibrant, it's encouraging, so it's positive, like you said, but it's about learning poker in the context of community. And so when we can do that, we can combine community, hanging out with people that we enjoy, with learning poker from some of the great minds. That's golden, right? So
I think it's amazing, to be honest. I mean, with all the groups, especially with my English group, which was actually my favorite one, it was tough to that final lesson. I didn't really want to leave. I said, how can we keep this group active? So I'm sure we could get the same type of vibe going with your people. So, yeah.
We already got Doug in the chat saying, let's go. I'm in for a class. So
let's do this, Doug.
Yeah, do it, Doug. I love it.
You guys on.
We'll sign up, Doug. All right, Farid. Well, we'll let you go there again. You can hang out if you want. Otherwise, just go enjoy dinner.
Go get that dinner.
We will be in touch about some of this other stuff. And if anything comes down the pike that you want to share, let us know. We'll make sure we get the word out on your behalf.
Okay, my brothers. Thank you for everything, and we'll be in touch. Have an amazing day.
All right. Take care, Farid.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Well, there he goes, Farid Jattin. What are we thinking?
He was fun. He was
Yeah, he's
fun.
so
I knew
great.
that was going to be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just got such a positive vibe. But he's such a he's such a terror at the table too. It's just like he's got this just like this guy you'd like to hang out with, but then but not at the table. Like, please don't come at my table. Please stay 10 miles away from my table. So
Yeah,
I love people like that, right? Yeah.
Great vibe, right? And
Yeah.
he kind of busts. He reminds me a little bit of locally. I think people have different perspectives, like Alex Mua. He's like hyper aggressive, but he's just a super nice guy. And if he busts, if he looks stupid, he just moves on with his day. Says, "Hey, nice hand," or whatever. But yeah, I was watching one of the videos of Farid, and I don't know what it was. Somebody opened, and you'll probably know the hand, Chris, because you remember all this stuff. But somebody opened. I think Farid 3-bet. Then whoever it was, that ace king 4-bet Farid pretty big. This is at a final table of a WPT. Farid's got 5-4 offsuit, right? So Farid just rips it in. Farid just rips it in. The guy calls with his ace king, and he wins. Farid busts or whatever. But this is like, I don't know, they're like 5 or 6 handed, I think, at the final table of this major tournament, and he just 5-bet shoves or whatever 5-4 offsuit. And when the announcer's like, "There's no way the guy's gonna fold," once the guy 4-bet with ace king, he had no fold equity, but he still just ripped it in. And I'm like, when you play against people like that, it's tough, right? I mean, you can get chips, but it applies so much pressure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the table one of my favorite tournaments was that Players Championship that they played down in, is it the Bahamas or Bermuda, or I can't remember, one of those really nice places where they had both recreational players and like all the elite or whatever. And he had a really deep run there and was on stream a lot. It's on YouTube. It's free to watch. If anyone has a chance, go watch some of that coverage, because his play there is pretty fun to watch. He takes some pretty interesting spots.
And it's strategic, I assume, right? I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about. It's not just, oh, crazy, I'm just going to start being crazy. I'm sure there's a method to the madness in there.
Yep.
Well, good stuff. Yeah, guys, thanks. That was fun. I mean, I know I asked a ton of questions, but that was a fantastic interview. And I'd never met him before, of course, and didn't know what to expect, but I enjoyed every second of that. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about home game winners. And Jim, I love that you pointed out that we do this thing on Tuesday nights. And if you're a member, you're out there going, "What is this again now?" Okay, Tuesday nights, when we're playing the home game, you can go onto Zoom if you're a premium member and hang out with us. And we do, try to invite some folks to come in there. People like Farid could maybe jump in there at some point, but do that for sure. But John, what do we got this week in home game results?
Well, to start off, I thought we'd just talk a little bit about what's coming up at the end of the year. We've got at the end of the year, we're going to have our No Limit Hold'em Tournament of Champions. So unlike the monthly No Limit Hold'em, this is going to be for the best 18 players from our No Limit Hold'em series. If you've won a tournament, you're automatically in it. And then we're going to fill out the rest of the field with the top points earners in that No Limit Hold'em series.
Yeah, Jim's got his sheet right there. I'm not going to get there. Here's my thing. I keep forgetting, that's an important one. And, I went, second, third, second, leading up to that monthly game or something. And then I, busted in, 45th place. I'm so frustrated.
Yeah, well, you need to choose when you're going to have your run good.
I know. I'm so dumb.
Try and pick those asterisk games. That's been a real aid to me personally.
Yeah.
Jim's got a little shiny thing on the rill of his cap there. So,
yeah,
okay, so John, I think I stepped over you a little bit there. So top 18. So it's people that won and then plus any wild cards to fill up 18 spots.
Right. So the top points earners. So if you didn't win, then you have to be in the top points earners in order to make it. If you did win a tournament, you might be in the top points earners anyway, but that'll guarantee your slot. So we'll have 18 players who qualify and will be able to play. And that's going to be the third Wednesday of December 16th. And that's
what if somebody says, "I finished in 7th place, but I can't make it"? Are we dipping down to the next spot then, or is it just sort of capped where it is? I'm seeing how much hope, if I can have any hope or
not. If we have enough time and we find out that someone positively says they will not make it, and I can ensure they don't because I'll just remove them, then maybe we'll go back down. but I'm not sure it's going to go that far.
Yeah, how many people have to say no before we get to you, Steve?
I don't know.
It depends. I'm looking at it right now. It depends on how he does this December. So don't give up hope, folks. If you don't feel like you're on the points list yet,
you can still win it.
You can win. So there's still this is the series that runs on the first Wednesday of every month. It's just no limit hold'ems on the first Wednesday of every month. The 12th one is yet to be played. The first Wednesday in December. If you come and win that, you get a seat in this championship tournament at the end of the year, no matter where you are in the points race, Steve.
Steve, I think I'm the most ranking.
No, well, I don't know. I won't speak to that. But
okay.
I think you could still get like second or third. And
where
I think
you're
at number 20 right now. You're at number 20 right now.
Oh, that's really close.
So you're in striking distance. And you know what? I'll just read out a few names here. So if you won one of these on the first Wednesday of the month, you're in. Currently, if unchanged, these would be the next 6 players that made it. T-Land 19, who I don't know who T-Land 19 is, but they have not won one, and they are killing it in the points. They must have been like a bunch of final tables.
It's either Troy or Tori. I get their 2 usernames messed up.
No, well, they're on a streak. Gopher Boy, TJ, and you're going to love this run here. Gopher Boy, TJM, Rabman 50, Bluff Sterini, and then currently M. Babker and I Hate to Lose are the 5 and 6 spots.
So those are, I mean, just so we know who they are. I mean, that's 3 of the panelists. So you got Taylor, Rob, and you, and then Michael Babker, who's always there, and then Bill Alexander, or I think this, William.
Yeah, he's great too.
Yeah.
I Hate to Lose. He and I were part of final 3 or something. I think when I got my pin, I just got lucky against him. He's a shooter.
All right, so I either need to win it, do really well, or start working the phones.
But let me tell you, so here's a few players that are all very, very close though. Like for all these players, this is very much in contention. So John 38, Ziggurat 1110, Jasper Jr., Roadster 33, Com Binkley, Obner, Gloves 1010, Illy Chippies, Rec Poker Steve. And
the good names in there.
Still pretty close though. You're all within striking distance. Kelly, Red Devil MN, Now Then Can Be, JB Twin Cities, Shorzy OO, John Let's See. There's a lot of names here.
Jim's just nerding it up. He's got that spreadsheet. He's just nerding.
It's there. It's there. The room is available.
Right. It's fun, right? That's kind of what we wanted. That's kind of what we wanted. At the end here, there's at the wild card seats. There's a bunch of us in it. So I'm going to start asking John. I'll give John like $5 for.
And don't forget that whoever gets the Player of the Year points also gets a silver pin. So whoever wins the points race gets a silver pin.
Is that
right now? It's Fortune New York and 5x5, our very own Chris Jones.
That's right.
What is this?
They are 1 and 2.
How close is it?
It's real close.
It's Fortune New York has 291.74 points, and 5x5 has 282.60 points. So less than 10 points apart, and you get 10 points for just showing up.
And there's a drop off after those two. It drops off.
I need Fortune New York
points.
to have a really bad internet connection. And then
if I bust Jamel, what are you going to give me? If I bust him?
There's a bounty. There's a bounty.
There's a panel bounty on Jamel. You hear that, Jamel? We're coming for you, buddy.
Nice. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's so fun, right? And then
so keep in mind for winning the tournament, you get like 80 points. Versus last place gets like 10 points. So anyone could still end up on the points race. I mean, it's really close between Chris and Jamel, but as long as the hitmen take both of them out, I think I'm still in contention.
No. I'm laying low.
Where are you at, John?
Changing my username.
Where are you at, John?
I am
John's
fourth place at 235.
But he's already won one of them, so he's not eligible for the points race. So
no, I'm still eligible.
Oh no, you're eligible for the points.
I just don't need it.
Nice. Oh man,
that's
so
great.
Fun. So just to be clear, so you get the silver pin for winning the year end tournament, right?
Yep.
And you get a silver pin for the points race. So that person could win 2 silver pins. Those are 2 different things, right? So if Jonesy wins the Player of the Year points, then wins the year in tournament, double silver.
You call that 2x2 when you got when you got 2 silver pins.
That's fantastic. Oh, that's so fun. I wish I was closer
and
to
that
the
could
top.
that could definitely happen.
Yeah.
I love it.
In order to keep all of this excitement going, particularly into the next year, this is where I need the help from all of the Rec Poker Nation. So next year, it's going to be a requirement that it'll make it just so much easier to track and to do everything if you have your PokerStars username recorded in your user account on Rec Poker. I have put a post on Rec Poker. I've linked it to Facebook. It's also been put in Discord. We had 262 players that need to record their accounts. That's 262 out of the 298 members that we have in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have like 4 people waiting because they have not recorded their names on a Rec Poker account. You need to do that before you can get approved to the club. So go to that. I put a tutorial together that explains, click by click detail on what you need to do, how to get that information in there. And I'll be putting more posts out, but the more of you that do this, the less I need to, the sooner you do it, the less I need to work about it. So it'd be much appreciated if you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so don't make us start calling you. Get this done. So we'll do the countdown. So we're recording this on November 16th. We still have 6 weeks to go, 262 people. All right, let's start knocking this out. If your username's not in your membership profile, do it. If you don't have a membership, you go get a free one. Rec.poker.
Yep.
Get a free membership. You don't have to pay, but put that in your profile, and then that'll save John a lot of work. And I know by the middle to end of December, because I just feel bad for people being left out, I will be able to recognize some usernames, and I'll be calling you at home on Christmas Eve. So knock it if you don't want your spouse to be angry with you, get it done before I call you on Christmas Eve.
That's right. Don't be a Grinch. There's only one Grinch on the Rec Poker podcast, and that's Taylor Moss.
All right. Good. Well, John, yeah, thanks for that. So yeah, building community and then just ease of reporting. Fantastic. And we're gonna have just as much fun next year with all of these things.
So now let's actually get to what we were supposed to be here in the first place and talk about the actual results. So we had our mixed series on November 11th, and that was won by none other than Gopher Boy TJM.
The Grinch.
It's his second mixed series victory.
Wow.
Wow. Well done, Taylor.
I'm jealous there because I have not, here I was supposedly know all about these mixed games. I have not won a single one.
That's what I was told. Mixed game expert.
Yeah, well, as you can see, that may or may not be true. Then our nightly series TOC happened on November 9th, and that was won by now then KB Doug Ahrens. It's his first nightly series TOC, and of course his silver pin.
Giving us
Lucky
yet another
guy.
state. Now he's former Minnesota, but he's in Florida. We've got like these silver pins are all over the place. Like
International, baby.
We got Canada, we got North Carolina, we got Maine, we got North. Yeah, we got. They're all over the place.
We got you surrounded.
Yeah.
So then,
poor John.
That's all right.
He doesn't get through these ever. It's not allowed.
Well, what's worse is tonight happens to be Papes as well. So the
we got to get this guy. We got to get this guy off.
That's all right. I had a straight and 5-card draw dealt to me Pat and won the first hand.
All right,
so,
we'll get you out of here, John.
Okay.
God bless our premium members, Doug, Kim, and Martha, who've showed up for the chat for this episode. What are these guys doing? Thanks, them. Martha. Thanks for the note, Martha. You're sweet. Yeah.
So the international series was a first-time winner, none other than someone named Rec Poker Stevie Fredlin. No, Steve
Yay.
Fredlin won his very first Rec Poker series.
TOC,
the international.
The TOC.
Yep.
Exactly. So then for our nightly series wins, we have Gibber 3, Jim Gibson won his first. Schneid's 33. Danny Schneider got his fourth.
Danny, nice one, bud.
Some dude named Poker Geek MN, John Somsky, got his fifth win.
Whatever.
Way to go, John.
Followed by Hawsey 8. Michael Hawes got his fifth win as well.
Nice.
Belzil 140. Kevin Belzil got his first nightly series victory. And Frogman Rick Day, got his fourth victory.
Rick Day, we love
There
that
he
guy.
is.
What
Rick,
a
I didn't know
champ.
he ended up winning. I was at the final table with him, and he was stacking up chips on my direct left. And I had texted Jim, and I said, man, it's tough having the Frogman on my left because you just don't know. He's one of those players, kind of like our guest, Free, kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I know he's capable of three barreling with nothing. He's also capable of getting value when he's got the big hand, and he made it tough. Way to go, Rick.
Yeah, that's a true story. Steve did text me. He's like, oh, I'm excited about the final table, but I got Rick to my left. I don't like my odds. That's right. He's a shooter.
Well, anything else, John? Great stuff, of course, as always.
Nope, that's it. We're looking at doing some more things with the Rec Poker Home Game Club next year. So stay tuned, and we'll let you know as soon as we figure it out.
Yep, and rec.poker/home game. John's got all of these stats out there. If you're kind of a nerd, you kind of want to see the stats. Now that we're in November, a lot of great stuff out there. So go check it out. A lot of good information. All right, thanks, John. Good stuff. If you need to run out, feel free, man. If you want to jump on the tapes thing or whatever, we don't want to keep you.
I'm
right, so what else? He's probably already busted. Whatever. All right. we got it on video now that he's got the video cam. Now we don't.
Yeah.
Now we can kind of see what's going on in the
Live tells.
Yeah. So what else, guys? What else? Chris, Jim, anything else you guys want to share, chat about?
Well, we're sort of a couple months into the focus now, which is exciting. Chris has been running this group talking about pre-flop ranges, and so it's great to see all Rec Poker Premium members all kind of studying together and working together off in their off time, which is exactly what we all want to learn together. And so that's been great, that kind of independent study program. And we started the Rec Room. So the first Rec Room episode came out, I think, last week. And so if anyone who's listening, if you're a premium member and you want to talk about poker with one of our Wrecking Crew members, just email me, jim@rec.poker, and submit a hand or some concept you'd like to talk about. And the Wrecking Crew member that you'd like to discuss it with, we'll get the two of you together offline to have a little strat session. And we record that and send it out to our premium members. So Taylor Moss, Chris Jones, John Somsky, Steve Fredlin, myself, Woody Adams. The whole Wrecking Crew. You can go to meet the Wrecking Crew page at rec.poker. Pick any one of them. They would love to talk poker with you. So let's make that happen and share that great content learning with our premium members.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, just another way, right? Like we always say, there's a million ways to engage. You don't feel like you have to do them all, but we're pretty sure you can
Yeah,
find some way to engage from the forums to the discussion to the book study, all those kind of things. So phenomenal stuff going on. We're always tweaking. We're always taking input too. So if you have any thoughts on how we can do things better, how you want to engage, we're very open to all that kind of stuff. All right. Anything else, guys, that we want to share? I see one head nod, one. All right. So just, real quick, we talked about already the year end. Don't make Somsky's life harder than it already is because he has to deal with us already. Don't make it harder by making him track you down. So get your poker.
No picnic.
Get your account at rec.poker. Put your username out there. Tuesday nights, join us if you're a premium member. But there is on Discord. There's a voice channel all the time. I know some of the folks are out there during any tournament that we play. Often there's folks out there, so you can jump on there if you want to kind of chat with folks out there as well. If you want to become a premium member, obviously we can do a lot of stuff for free, but there's a lot of good stuff for premium members too. You can do that. We'll give you $10 off your first $15 a month membership if you use the code RecPoker out there as well. So I think that's it. Cue music, Jim. We want to thank our sponsors, Running Aces Racetrack Casino and Hotel, Website AMP, Learn Pro Poker, and the small business community. Thank you to Farid Jattin. Fantastic. Thanks John Somsky, Jim Reed, Chris Jones, and the folks that joined us in the chat. Take care, guys.